Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we've got a special office presentation. In the house, we've got Leah Wald, CEO of Soul Strategies, together with TonyG, the one and only TonyG, chairman, I believe, of Soul Strategies. Correct? We'll get into that in a second. Correct. But we're gonna have a nice 1 hour conversation, getting to know Leah and Tony, Soul Strategies, their strategy, their vision, what they're doing, why they're soul bulls like us. And we're going to have a great old time. So anyone, Leah Wald, give it up. Leah Wald. Leah, step up. We would love first for you to tell us about yourself.
Whew. Holy moly. All right. We're going back to my history here. Okay. It's always a question, right? For all of us in crypto of, when you think about your background, is it, do you start pre-crypto? Because I feel like it's always the catalyst that changes us forever, and the career and trajectory of your life has always changed. But I guess so. Maybe I'll start. Just pretty much. We'll go back a little bit. We'll go back a little bit. How I got into Bitcoin. So no, I appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much for having me on, and hello everybody. It's definitely an honor to be here.
Yeah, we'd love to,
So
Leah, we'd
going
love to
back.
hear about where you went to school and what you studied. I always find that fascinating.
Oh boy. All right, sure. So I actually wonderfully went to a hippie college in the San
Woo!
Bernardino Mountains. Yeah, if anyone knows of Pitzer College. So it is one of the Claremont colleges, but maybe the best one. So there I did study political economics, and I actually had an opportunity to study abroad a lot. So those 4 years, I took classes at Georgetown University, GW, University of Haifa, University of Beijing, and I was off to the races on starting a company during that time as well. So worked a whole lot of crummy jobs to try to pay for that one. Worst, obviously, being a cleanup crew at 4 a.m. for any of the parties picking up cigarettes. But it obviously worked out. So after undergrad, I went to business school in Madrid at Instituto de Empresa, IE. And then, it was kind of off to the races. But I think that kind of what was most pivotal for me during that time was actually starting my career. I'd say it really started at the World Bank. And I was lucky enough to get a position at the World Bank working directly for Obiazek Wesley. She was the VP of the Sub-Saharan Africa region and just absolutely my mentor till today, and I'm grateful for it. So she was the founder of Transparency International, which I think actually a lot of us probably respect, as well as former Minister of Education and Resources in Nigeria. So she really has done everything in the name of financial transparency to root out corruption and provide opportunity for her country and for Nigerians. But what was particularly interesting during that time was, and that was 2009, 2010, was that M-Pesa was being launched in Kenya. So I think a couple people here are familiar with that. And that was a World Bank pilot originally. And that's when I'd say all this took off. I learned about microfinance in a more meaningful way. I learned that permissionless value transfer can work seamlessly with apps. Sorry, M-Pesa is an SMS-based microfinance, microlending system whereby you can text money to other individuals anywhere in the country. So truthfully, when I learned about Bitcoin later on, it seemed like the most logical extension to me. It seemed like the best advance to what I had been seeing because of the pillars of Bitcoin being, permissionless value transfer, unconfiscatability, the ledger system. So it's, it just all around, it's what was needed, especially the ability to have pseudo anonymity and everything else. So after that, I did do a stint in traditional finance. I worked for a hedge fund. I worked for Vital Financial. It advised hedge funds, specifically specialized in Japanese equities and LBO strategies. I learned that wearing a pantsuit is never for me, and went back into the yes. I don't even look good in them. And I went back into the development world. I went to Gujarat, India. I worked for advising a company called SEWA, Self-Employed Women's Association. And what was interesting there was that they had the same SMS type system. However, it was pictorial and it still worked because many of their members were illiterate. So then again, when I learned, where things were at with Bitcoin, it just seemed like, all right, like I'm all in. So for me, joining Bitcoin and just being an adherent to it at that time, very, fairly early on, not as early as everybody on this call, but maybe early enough, it was always based on the development principles and believing that it would change the world for the remittance corridors, for capability, disparity that exists in developing countries. Now, it's taken a while for that to more take off from a platform perspective. It's, obviously always worked in Venezuela and other countries, Afghanistan, et cetera, but on more of a smaller scale. So that got me in. Now everybody here remembers there was kind of two paths for your career. You were an engineer or you were a trader. And I'm not an engineer, so for the most part, I joined the crypto industry as a career with Lucid Investment Strategies, which some people here may remember. So as a financial professional, but the goal was always, education. We had the YouTube channel with Tyler, moderated the channels with Tone Vays and Jimmy Song and Giacomo Zucco. And then also trying to be that first registered investment advisor in the States that could advise on how to allocate your 401k to GBTC and do it in an appropriate way. And to advise that if there is a bear market, please get out. When there's a bull market, here's what we're seeing. So that was Lucid. And then just skipping forward after Lucid, I co-founded and ran Valkyrie Investments. We launched
Already,
some of the first
you
crypto
co-founded
ETFs.
Walker.
Yeah,
I didn't know you were
yeah,
co-founder.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Thank
What,
you. Co-founder was Stephen McClurg. Yeah,
Steve?
and then ran it. It was a wild ride. All of us were here for 2022, and if you made it past that, then hat off. And yeah, so then so we launched some of the first Bitcoin ETFs across the board: Bitcoin miners, leverage, spot, Bitcoin futures, way back in October 2021, as well as other funds, grantor trusts, SMA strategies, two hedge funds, et cetera. Valkyrie's ETF business and advisor, and I promised Marty, we're almost at the end here, was sold to CoinShares earlier this year, March. And then our private funds were sold to Abra. Abra launched an RIA, so Abra Capital Management. Hedge fund was spun off, and I joined HODL. And then the rest is not history, since I know we're talking about it today. But that got me to where we are. And okay, answering your last question. So I guess I'm not off the soapbox. Last question was, how did I meet Tony?
Yes.
Tony, I respect you so much, and I'm so grateful that we get to work so closely. The first time I met Tony was a phone call when I was being courted to be a director for, Cypherpunk Holdings, now Soul Strategies, and just had a wonderful conversation, getting to know Tony better. He was the CEO at the time. He is the chairman. But Tony doesn't know, I definitely watched him on TV growing up, and for a very long time. I still watch when he plays. I got my money taken from me terribly at Unconfiscatable, run by Tone Vays. Doug Polk was in that poker tournament. So, look, anyone knows that they're gonna lose their Bitcoin if you go up on a poker tournament with Doug Polk. But it's just been a real pleasure working with Tony. His background, I'm excited for him to talk about because it is the most interesting background across the board. So now I'm
That
off
was
the soapbox, but I hope people get to know me better with that.
that is an unbelievable story, and you're so succinct. Tony, do you want to step up and just tell us a little bit about yourself so people understand who you are?
Yeah, just a little bit about myself. So I was born in Lithuania, in the Soviet Union, and then as an 11-year-old, I went to Australia. I got expelled from high school in year 9 for gambling. So I was gambling with kids, unfortunately, and I didn't do the right thing, but maybe fortunate. But I didn't give up. I kept trying, working. I mean, as far as like washing car windows on the street and so on. That was the reality. I didn't have like a very rich upbringing, so I was a battler in Australia. I learned a lot. I was putting together computers quite young. Just doing very, very simple manual labor things as well, and doing some startups and playing a bit of poker on the side. And I kind of became decent at poker, not good, but I won enough money to start pokernews.com when I was still young, and Poker
Oh,
News
I
became...
remember that. Pokernews.com.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
I remember that. Wow, that's you. You guys are amazing. Okay, keep going.
So I'm the fan of pokernews.com, yeah. And yeah, I just kept trying in life, and I liked a lot of different things, technologies, of course, and then poker and cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin came along, and yeah, I kind of made enough money. Thought I want to do something in life to help other people as well. So I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll do politics. So I went for election in European Parliament, and I managed to win comprehensively my election, and I had a very good 5 years in European Parliament. Of course, I told everyone to buy Bitcoin, and I spoke about Ethereum, right from the start when it was there. So yeah, I've had a interesting life, and then I was kind of bored of politics. I couldn't do anymore. I couldn't progress, and this little company, CYFRF Holdings, came along. Actually, took a small placement at 3 cents. The first place I took whatever. There was some crossing trades from Canaccord securities that just set me up. I bought a lot of stock, and I just kept buying. And then they said, okay, why don't you become the CEO? I became the CEO, left politics, and I've been working on this company as many others as well on the side, right? To invest in Bitcoin, focus on cryptocurrencies. And yeah, we've come through this journey, and putting together very good people like Leah and John and Mo and all the latest people that we've had join our board. And yeah, we've just got a very simple strategy. We want to be, validating Solana. We want to buy up validators. We want to increase our validator stake, and just be a Solana proxy that's on steroids. So that's what we're doing, and that's a lot of fun.
Just quickly recap. So Cypherpunk, when you started investing at 3 cents, who started Cypherpunk? How did it get that name? And what was its original ethos? Leah or Tony?
Originally, yeah, it was a mining company. It was a mining company in a Canadian mining company, but basically that was focused in Mongolia at that time from to start with, and then that they finished that business, and then the founders or whatever, the majority of shareholders, decided to change the business type to having a big Bitcoin on its balance sheet. They put all the money in Bitcoin, and yeah, that's how it basically started. And now we've
That's interesting.
progressed.
I'm actually based out of Mongolia. I'm here right now in my tent with 7
Oh wow!
Starlinks and 4 horses. Yeah, carry on.
Amazing, great, yeah. Yeah, so I think that's enough about me, right?
And the renaming to Soul Strategies, was that a decision made once Leah arrived, or was that your decision? How did that come about?
No, that's Leah's decision. Leah
Cool.
and Mo and the whole team, the top management team in there. Very clever people, experienced, and they're doing a great job. I'm very happy to watch it from the sidelines, more or less. But it's an exciting journey, and I'm just so happy to have done so well for shareholders. But obviously, we want to do a lot better, and we want to be the Berkshire Hathaway of blockchain, right? That's what we want to be. So that's what I said a long time ago, and someone reminded me. And that was my dream, to have a little penny stock that goes up. And if you look at all the best, stocks like Home Depot or any other stock, you can have like 100,000% on it. And hopefully we can do that. And that would be the most fun journey to be on in life. And I mean, it's been a bit of a nice run, right? It's a nice foundation, and I'm very appreciative. And I'm hoping we do the right thing by shareholders. We make good decisions, and we create a lot of value over the coming years. That's what I'm here for.
That's terrific. Well, Tony, I can tell you that yeah, we've got a lot of Canadians in the community here, and they're all in the stock. They all love the stock. We as a group have been waiting for a long time for you guys to come. We've been big MicroStrategies guys, And we've been saying, why doesn't somebody do the same with Solana? Gosh, when's it going to happen? And here you come along. So that's why we're so excited about this. A quick question, maybe Leah, you want to jump in? Tell us about Mo, your CTO. You know, I'm trying to get his job. So just tell us about him.
Yeah, and also I gotta say, because
Yeah.
Tony is being wildly humble, that he is in the poker hall of fame in different countries. He's one of the most successful poker players in the entire world. I believe that has won the most cash winnings ever. So he says he
Come
dabbles
on.
in poker, but give me a break. This guy is the most
So
world
this is the
famous
most
poker
humble
player.
man in the world here.
Yeah, yeah, get out of town. You know, Tony G on TV. Anyone that watched TV, give me a break. We all know Tony. So, Tony, stop being
It's
so
interesting.
humble.
It's interesting, Tony, because here on the space, I don't know if you've been following for a while, but we kind of play poker with crypto trading because, you know, we're all following, you know, mainstream crypto, longing and shorting with
No.
leverage, but you don't really know what people are doing. You know, they say they're doing
Yeah.
something. Oh, I'm going in now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm stopping. But you don't know. It's like poker. It's a new kind of poker. We can talk about that at length. Carry on, Leah. Tell us about Mo.
Oh man, no, the team is just absolutely incredible, and the reason why I was excited to join the board. So Mo, it would be hard to take his job, Marty. I'm just gonna say it, but please, you know, please, you're welcome to try. So Mo, besides having just a prolific, you know, engineering background, he was a co-founder of BitAccess. So I'd say talk about an OG. It was Bit Access. For everybody here who remembers the first and largest Bitcoin ATM company, that's Bit Access. And I think they even started working on that in something like 2012. So he's just absolutely brilliant and incredible. If he's on here, he's probably, you know, hiding and you know, has red cheeks from what I'm saying. But no, Mo's absolutely brilliant. It was with Mo that, so Tony's absolutely right. Previously, the stock was run by another company, but it was a hostile takeover in 2018 that created Cypherpunk Holdings. That was under Mo. And a couple others, and then they named it Cypherpunk Holdings. They took the ticker HODL back in 2018, put Bitcoin on the balance sheet, and had the thesis that actually we still have today. And I think that it's important to make that clear is that the thesis back then was, all right, let's be the first equity opportunity and exposure to Bitcoin by putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet, by doing important investments in the space, such as investing. They invested in a lot of OG companies too, Engrave, Samurai, Wasabi, and also doing Bitcoin mining. So they created this vehicle that was, I believe, the best and more sophisticated exposure you could have gotten to Bitcoin in North America. So that was way back in 2018. Now, mean people like me made that thesis quite moot in 2021, sorry, with the advent of launching Bitcoin ETFs. And in Canada, Purpose and Evolve launched theirs in February 2021. And previously, you know, 3iQ had a listed closed-end fund. So then you take, you know, Cypherpunk Holdings, let's call it HODL on this call. You know, but that was really just, you know, a lot of Mo's brainchild of creating that important thesis. Then we started making other investments, and Tony's giving me too much credit. It was not just my idea, but instead we sat down as a board, as a management team, and said, all right, you know, this is our thesis, and it's worked, and it's been important, and shareholders have stuck with us. So, what is the next best opportunity that provides that same thesis? Because obviously, shareholders do appreciate what we've done. And we believed that it was Solana, and we still do, obviously. So, we decided to make that material change in strategy and name. And obviously, you know, we're sticking by it that we needed to be all in on Solana and provide that same opportunity that was provided in 2018 of being that public vehicle that investors can invest in to have a sophisticated exposure to Solana. So we hold, as per public statements that even came out on Friday, you know, vast majority in Sol. We stake it on our own validator. We're looking for high quality investments in the Solana ecosystem right now. We've been talking to 1 million startups since Breakpoint and very interested. But I think it is important on this call to know that the thesis has remained the same. We've remained with this idea that investors don't just want passive funds. I know I'm making fun of my background here, but that it's important to also have a company that's running in the industry. And I'll back up and maybe give a reason why. If anyone is familiar with the miners ETF that Valkyrie, now CoinShares, launched last year, the ticker was WAGMI. We love tickers over at Valkyrie, so that's also why I love cypherpunks, right? The original OG HODL ticker in 2018. But WAGMI was the best performing ETF in the United States, non-levered, last year. It's all over 100 million in inflows, and across the board, miners saw lots of inflows and interest. So, Marathon, CleanSpark, et cetera. We know all that. However, why did that happen when other ETFs were out? When you had ETH, when you had leveraged, when you had Bitcoin ETH cap weighted, you had obviously Bitcoin was still out there with the futures. Bitto had over $1 billion. So why were the miners seeing this? And every RIA that I spoke to was that they liked having two options. They liked having spot because they were still getting to know the asset, but they also liked having a picks and shovels because they understood that from prior investing. So I think it's important also that we're not just a passive fund. Those will come out, and I look forward to it because it's a rising tide. So we're hoping to help those issuers as well. But I do want the community to understand that we are trying to do more than that. And also with the infrastructure that we're building by running our own validators, that we're also providing, in essence, a picks and shovels play, which I think just provides a important differentiation where investors can buy spot directly, buy the funds when they come out, and buy something that has operations in the industry and is making sophisticated investments as well. So a different type of vehicle.
Fantastic. Leah, obviously, we speak about all the time, the similarity between what you're doing and MicroStrategies. We have to touch on that. Also, before we continue, how did you get the HODL? How did Jan van Eck get HODL? If it was Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
is that a story?
Well, I'm friends with Jan and I respect him. And for anyone that knows the background of Van Eck with his father, it's very impressive. They were, very important in gold's development. But yes, the Van Eck team does promote HODL. They were the first in the States, I believe HODL's on SIBO. But I need to talk with, I need to sit down with Jan. I need to have a coffee and make sure he understands that he's just trying to take our ticker over here. But hey, man, we had it first.
Oh yeah, I think you might need to refresh, Marty. We didn't lose her.
Leah, can you hear us? Let Leah just go. There we go, Leah.
Sounds like Wi-Fi issues, yeah.
Okay, Leah, carry on. Carry on. Jan van Eck, tell us the story.
She's rubber banding on my end.
There you go. She's back.
Yep.
Marty?
Yeah, we hear. Carry on, Van Eck.
Hello?
Tell us about Jan. Yes, we're here. Can you hear us? We've got spaces, drama. It's all good. This is normal. Ted, you there?
Yeah, we might pass it over to Tony until she's back.
Yeah, Tony, maybe you want to pick it up. Let Leah just jump in and out. So, Tony, tell us about poker right now. Do you know my friend Leon Yohai? Have you ever heard that name?
Unfortunately, I haven't.
He started Zulu Trade. You remember the Forex trading platform? He was also a Greek poker player, but he's DMing me like crazy that he knows you. Anyway, we'll talk about it at length.
Yeah, maybe everybody knows me, but it's like I guess in poker, but
yeah,
I don't know everybody.
In Aussie? Are you still in Australia?
Yeah, I grew up in Australia. I grew up in Melbourne. Yeah,
Australia just seems to be behind the curve on crypto still a little bit, eh?
Yeah, it's still a bit behind, but there's a lot of potential in the future. But there are not many companies there in the crypto space in Australia that are publicly listed. But there's a lot of smart people in Australia that are doing good things.
We have a lot of Australians on the space here that trade with us, that pop in at Australian hours from all over Australia. So the actual crypto trading, I think Australians like to gamble.
Yeah,
So,
they love to gamble.
yeah, they love in the crypto futures. I mean, it's
They
the
love
greatest
web.
casino. Maybe it's the greatest casino ever invented. I mean, my thesis is that one day there will be giant crypto casinos that you go in, there'll be massive Bitcoin charts for 1 second, and just unbelievable presentations and traders. I think that's the future. Yeah, can you hear us? You back?
I can. I joined as the HODL account, but
All good. Don't
I
worry.
think I
Carry
figured
on.
it out.
Well, Jan van Eyck, tell us the story. That's who you were. Keep going.
Jan and I are friends, but I do need to have a coffee chat with him so he remembers that we were the first total ticker. But to answer your question, their ETF is on, I believe, SIBO. So you can have, you have a Canadian ticker. We have it with CSE, and then they have, the North American ticker with SIBO. But yeah, Jan, I gotta give Jan a call after this, I think.
Yeah, that's insane. I remember when I was covering the ETFs. In fact, I believe I broke the official approval, if anyone remembers. I was all over it, and the tickers were coming out, on the SEC site, and I was publishing them, and HODL was a real gem.
No, ours was better, Marty. Do you remember it?
Brr.
Money printer goes burr.
How come the CoinShares takeover thing was so uncovered, really? It just happened overnight. I don't think people even aware.
Yeah. They've been incredible, but obviously because of different SEC rules on confidentiality, and they're publicly traded, the conversations took a bit before they could be public with CoinShares. But they're fantastic. Our team is over there, and yes, they took over some good tickers. And if everybody remembers, we also, when we were launching, this got us in trouble, but launching the first Bitcoin futures ETF on NASDAQ. ProShares got the jump on us. We did second. We did try to go for BTFD. We ended up with BTF, but we did try BTFD.
That's a clever name. ETF with a B.
Yeah, by the blank dip.
Legend.
Very cool. I love that. Trying to come up with names. I'm a musician, so trying to name songs. My God.
Yeah, tickers are fun.
Let's jump into Solana stuff. So just for a little bit of background. So your overall strategy is basically you're a Solana shop. So you're going to invest in Solana, you're going to run validators, you're going to earn revenue as a validator, and then you're going to invest in ecosystem projects. How are you selecting those? Can you share any of that with us? Because here in this group, we know them all. I've had every major Solana ecosystem project and their founder on the space doing a space, and obviously very, very familiar with them. And I've got my, I've handpicked my favorites that I invest in. I'd love to hear from you. Are you allowed to disclose any of that information, like just off the top of your head?
Yeah. Well, first of all, please send those names our way.
Oh, we'll work
We're
together.
trying to.
Our DMs are going to be
I'm
fast.
in.
Don't worry.
You're taking Mo's job. You're taking Mo's job. It seems like I'm going to talk to him after this. No, but truly, anyone on this call, and Marty, we'd love to get to know the other players. We're speaking to everybody that we can, that we've met, but I'd love to speak to everybody. I'd love to get to know everybody, because that matters, as we all know. And that matters because, as we all know, blockchains and projects and communities and also tokens live or die by their community. And that's why we're here today, right? Developer community support, outside investors, traders, evangelists, PR like Tova. But as long as we are, building in the community and also interested and actively involved, that's how Solana and Sol is gonna soar. So I love talking to the startups in the space, because what I've been learning is they're exceedingly sophisticated. That it's very early days, but also highly sophisticated. So it's been really interesting. To your point, Marty, I'm going to sound like an obnoxious, compliant, friendly CEO, but what does interest us, of course, and I'm going to sound like a cog in the system, but infrastructure and staking, but also tooling around that. So we have been speaking to everybody under the sun. There's a lot of really interesting shops doing financial instruments. We've also spoken to hedge funds in the space. But in alignment with our current interests and initiatives, we're especially speaking to a lot of the staking provider companies. But again, happy to speak to anyone. Throw them my way. We'll chat with everybody,
No,
and
absolutely.
no matter what, try to help.
Have you guys, you and Tony, read my thesis from 2023 pinned to my profile?
Is it from? I've read your thesis on your profile. I didn't know it was from
the Solana thesis
2023.
from 2023,
And
right? The Internet 2, the next
yeah,
Internet, right? Good.
yes. And what I told you, and this digresses a little bit from Solana, although it sounds like it doesn't, is I'm a huge nerd when it comes to DID technology and decentralized
Ooh,
ID,
I'm a big
and
fan.
especially zero knowledge proofs and how that can be utilized for these next advances. I cannot see the future not working out to where we need it to be for AI, for anything, if we can't solve for DID and ensuring that there's nodes in place to make DID seamless, truly private, and also not taken over by machines.
No, absolutely.
So I agree with you. I read yours, and maybe speak to it because I'd love to hear your thoughts. But you do mention DID, but as per Solana being able to integrate it more seamlessly, more than any other blockchain and potential platform, and I think that was really interesting.
Yeah, I think the roadmap of Solana is obviously, if you know totally, it's mind-bendingly visionary, and it's well thought out. He's much like Musk. He has sort of 5D chess going on. He's thought way into the future. But I think we'll talk together. We'll go over it. But there's a couple of components required in order to create Internet version 2, or as I like to call it, cloud version 2. Which is the downfall and deprecation of AWS and Azure, etc. And that's decentralized storage, decentralized name services, and a decentralized order book. And these to me are the exciting ecosystem projects, and we can talk at length about them. But I think structuring around Internet 2 is visionary, because that's what's coming, and we can talk about that at length. I wanted to talk to you. You talk a lot about Breakpoint. Did you go to, how many Breakpoints have you gone to?
This was my first,
Oh, wow.
actually. I know. And it was in Singapore where I used to live. I moderated the panel with Anthony Scaramucci, as well as the head of digital asset research at Franklin Templeton, who, announced some pretty big news there. But it was really eye-opening and also a lot of fun. And not all conferences are as fun as it was. So it was a really great mix. And F1 was on in the same time, so they kind of nailed it on fun timing in Singapore.
I mean, I don't know if you want to take a shot at this. Can you maybe just in your own words explain to us why you think Solana is different to any other layer one? Just your Leah Wald theory. Go ahead.
No, I mean, look, I'm going to be regurgitating what every single person here believes and thinks, which I can't not see the importance of speed, high data throughput, as well as transaction prices. I mean, it really goes back to my desire to utilize crypto to solve real world issues in developing countries with the amount of transaction fees across the board, whether it's Ethereum, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's the platforms that are, trying to facilitate and how they're cutting fees. It's astronomical and can't work. So I sound like everybody else here, but I think those two major points provide for the opportunity to create exceedingly meaningful applications in this world. So beyond just financialization, hey, look, that's great. I come from that world. But if we're also looking at what's going to be meaningful on the individual level for people who need to access, financial opportunities, have financial sovereignty, and generally access the financial system and or other people, whether it's refugees, whether it's, again, remittances. I'm very bullish on Solana for that and for those two reasons. But I sound like everybody else here, so look, nothing novel.
Yeah, I mean, my new thesis is that stable coins are going to be the next, massive event in crypto. And I think Solana is going to handle the lion's share, but we can talk about that later. I think regulatory might be a little hard for you to talk on that. Other question I had for you that I find very interesting is, because we have it here in the space within the community, there's token investors and then there's stock investors. And there's a separation. Some people enjoy owning the underlying crypto assets, and some people like buying MicroStrategies and Sol strategies and owning a stock. Can you talk on that a little bit about how you're positioning yourself and how you would talk to one of those people on the fence? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting question. And look, same as any other asset, I think that everybody should buy the way that they want to buy. You want to buy Sol spot, you want to buy Bitcoin spot. For people who want to buy spot, they're going to buy spot. Fantastic. Also me. However, not all buyers can buy spot. And that's why we launched the Bitcoin ETFs in the US, right? And other, we also did a cap one, with ETH, is that there are so many barriers to entry for registered investment advisors and other allocators who simply cannot buy spot. And therefore, for individuals who want to put crypto and believe in certain stocks or ETFs in their retirement accounts, in their IRAs, in their personal accounts through their wealth manager or self-directed, they can't. So it's very frustrating, but that's been a barrier to entry. And the reason why, for the most part, is either A, it's not on the brokerages or the platforms. That matters because the reporting is therefore not available for a lot of these registered investment advisors. What's interesting, of course, well, maybe not everybody knows, is that even iShares, most of the Bitcoin ETFs still are not on many platforms. Let's just go to the United States for a second. I think US is, if I read the last statistics on Statistica, is 60% of global markets, or 65%. So let's focus on that for a second. But yeah, so even BlackRock's Bitcoin Spot ETF isn't on BAML. It isn't on most of the major platforms. Vanguard has said, they're never going to put it in their model portfolios. However, the equities are, the miners are, and Vanguard has always had a strong position in Marathon. So that's something that's very interesting to me. Beyond just, do you want to buy Sol? I think that's fantastic, especially for the retail audience, for hedge funds. But if you start looking at sovereign wealth, at pensions, at those managing endowments in institutions, they have these barriers to entry. And for the most part, buying equities are still the only available way and the most comfortable way. One of those reasons is because institutions and CIOs are still trying to understand the underlying. They're still trying to get comfortable with Ethereum. They will be still trying to get comfortable with Solana. However, having a company where they can do fundamental analysis that they're used to doing, such as with miners, there's actually more of a comfortability. So, Marty, I would say, different stripes for different folks. It's good to have that product suite. But I think Sol investors should buy Sol. But if you look at our returns recently, which are quite insane, you're seeing, I believe it's 1,000% that we've appreciated over the past month. We're seeing, even yesterday, over 10 million shares traded. We're seeing millions every single day. So what that tells me, and again, we're listed on the CSE. We do have an OTC ticker, but it's OTCPK. So a lot of, investors can't buy it still. But despite that, you're seeing over 10 million shares traded a day. I can't not think that the demand is there to be able to buy it in a manner that is possible. So I think that one, it's exceedingly bullish for Solana, for Sol, but it does show that investors want to buy it through an equity and have that exposure that way. Typically, miners in the United States, investors invested in miners or traded miners because they outperformed bull markets and underperformed bears. But that's why they were bought. So there is an interesting element of what historical traders in this industry who have bought the equities and made very impressive gains know how to leverage arbitrage and generally invest in equities even more so than the underlying asset, because again they can do the FA and the TA. They can have their analysts play with it. They can put out equity research. The sell side house can make some numbers and have some fun. And that's generally just not always possible with just the underlying or even when the spot funds come out.
Absolutely. So quickly, tell us about the journey from a small cap TSX to how you would get uplisted to the NASDAQ. Because I think the NASDAQ is probably where you're destined. Is this something you guys are talking about? Is there a process? Is there a formula? Is it something interesting?
I'd be in big old trouble if I tried to answer that question, Marty.
Okay,
So we're currently on the CSE. We're currently on the Canadian Securities Exchange, but we're a very ambitious management team. So watch out for us. We're not trying to remain a small company forever.
They can't regulate dreams, Leah. Always remember.
They kind of can, right? We've seen that.
The other question I wanted to ask you is just from where you are now, how do you think you grow? What is the growth model? I mean, we know MicroStrategies and Saylor can talk about, Bitcoin's role in the financial system and the growth formula for MicroStrategies. Can you describe two similar aspects for Sol Strategies? Like, how do you see yourself fitting into the TradFi ecosystem right now? Like, are you a tech stock? Are you a crypto stock? Are you a true risk on stock? And how do you grow? Like, are you going to take the Michael Saylor approach by issuing, new shares and diluting shares? Are you going to bring in VC? Are you allowed to talk about any of that?
I can talk about what's been publicly released, so happy to do that.
Yes.
But I think we released a PR on Friday, so we can speak to that, which has different elements of what you're speaking to. But what I really appreciated is how you started that question, which is that Michael Saylor, MicroStrategies.
Micro Saylor,
brilliant. I'm combining the two words there. Although I think it is combined in a lot of our minds, is he's exceedingly and extremely invested in education, right? He's always been, he's an advocate. You go on any news station, any conference, any opportunity, he's provided absolutely brilliant thought leadership, stood up for what he believes in, and pushed it hard. So because of him, I think a lot of institutions have learned about Bitcoin and his treasury management style. And I think that has actually created a strong accretive event for Bitcoin, but also for just the knowledge base. So, on that, yes, it needs to be thought leadership. It needs to be everybody on this call. And I know I'm looking at a whole lot of anons here, but all of us working together on education, because that is the current barrier. You talk to anyone in the traditional finance sector, and they're still very much learning about Solana. And that's even if they're fairly advanced in crypto, that's typically just Bitcoin. So it starts with education, 100%. So, if we're trying to put out thought leadership pieces, it's definitely me getting in rooms with brokers and other people wearing suits, even though I won't be wearing one, and educating about Solana. So we're starting to write thought leadership pieces now. But as per, so yeah, and you, Marty, like you're helping the cause too.
I've got an ongoing thing with Matthew Siegel, because Matthew's also been on the forefront. He's been the first sort of TradFi fund person to start talking about Solana. But the problem is that I found in talking with TradFi people as an educator is that most of them were trained on Bitcoin, were led to believe that's crypto. That's how it works. The consensus, and you know, the governance, etc. And then Ethereum came along, and they were educated by Ethereum people to believe that EVM is the way, and you know, that particular governance and consensus mechanism. And then Solana comes along, and it's like they're now almost stubborn to learn something new, like Matthew. I'm trying to teach Matthew, literally in DMs, and I think it's time we have somebody come who gets it and can educate it, because it's actually quite simple compared to those other blockchains. Proof of history is a huge move forward in simplicity and common sense. You know, and I think you're the person.
Oh man, come on! Don't
so
fluff up my ego here.
We're gonna teach TradFi about the future of blockchain, how layer ones should have been designed, and how we're creating a global decentralized clock, which, you know, opens up doors people cannot even imagine, like global synchronized messaging. You know, these things, they go beyond money and ownership and rights to general messaging, you know, which right now we rely on, you know, a massive infrastructure, which is literally redundant with Solana.
Right.
So these are the kinds of things I want to do, is I want to educate, and I'm going to be working with you. We're going to get TradFi to understand that there's newer thinking and newer design from Bitcoin and EVM. And I think you guys could take the lead. If Sol Strategies can take the lead, similar fashion to Michael Saylor taking the lead in Bitcoin education, it's a winning formula.
Hey, I'm all in. I'm all in, Marty. Let's do this. And look, we were at Valkyrie. We were pitching, you know, crypto products to registered investment advisors in 2020. It didn't go well, but we did it, and we did it hard. We tried to talk to everybody. We actually did seminars for the top pensions in Texas, and even though they didn't buy then, you know, it started the educational process, and you know, they ended up buying later, right?
Absolutely.
So it's fine if we leave rooms, they shake our hand and they say, well, thank you, because we're looking long term in this community, right? So if they buy 2 years from now, fantastic. The education starts now, and I'm used to, you know, kind of shake my hand and, oh, that was cute, Leah. But yeah, that's how it works. That's how it works. And truthfully, I just spoke to an investment advisor in Canada who said that he's held an allocation in his models with Bitcoin at 2%. He said it's great. However, now it's a bit, you know, of a low flyer. It's growth, but not as much. And I'm interested in what you're doing, and in Solana, because now I want a higher growth microcap for my portfolio, and I know how to allocate accordingly, especially because you're a listed equity. And I said, absolutely, let's figure out how to have this conversation. So, Marty, like, everyone will talk to us for sure. City will talk to us. Everybody will talk to us. We just need that strong messaging, and I think we have it. I think we have it. It's just ensuring that the community is just talking to everybody on the street and the taxi drivers, and then that trickles up. But they're paying attention.
Have you started a relationship with Mert at Helios Labs?
No.
Okay, there's your guy. Helios Labs is the #1 validator, if you look on the list, right? They're at the top of the super minority. After them is Galaxy, which is, you know, Mark Nodegrove. Another one you need to become very good friends with Mark. Those are your two #1 validators. Then we get into Coinbase and Ledger, and actually Coinbase is the only other publicly traded company in the super minority. So you could literally be second. But Mert builds unbelievable education on Solana as part of being a validator. And it's publicly available. And it's like, I send his work to people right out the gate when they want to know what about Solana. It's just brilliant. I'm going to put you in touch with him.
Well, so I didn't know that you said Mert. I thought you said Merck. I did meet him at Breakpoint. He's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, he's an absolute genius. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know the Galaxy people from, being in the asset management space. So, and Coinbase was an investor in Valkyrie. So absolutely, I'm with you there. But hey, we want to talk to everybody. So, introduce a way. But yeah, Mert has been extremely educational for me.
Yeah,
I
he's
follow everything
unbelievable.
he
I'm going to
writes.
send you his
Yeah.
Solana Basics PDF. It's just
Yeah.
mind-blowingly brilliant. We've got 10 more minutes, Leah. I just want to, is there anything you would like to get onto the recorded space in the next 10 minutes? Anything you'd like to tell us? You mentioned something next week. Can you just elaborate for the people? Something is going to get approved or signed or something? Is anything happening next week?
I did not say that. I can't look forward. However, I can't look forward. But if anyone wants to check out our latest press release, we're actively engaged in growing the company. We're looking to acquire validators. We are looking to increase our stake. Looking for companies to invest in. Looking to as if you look even further. Tony on the call provided a loan facility. We were able to buy more SOL and stake it through that. So we're not sitting. There's a lot of press releases that are coming out, and it's because they're material because we're doing a lot here. So definitely follow us. Send us any thoughts you guys have. I mean, we're here. We're not going anywhere. We believe in this thesis. We think that that not just North America. We think we have an OTC listing, so we think the world, has interest in an equity that's more than just involved in the space, but by running a validator, we are actively participating in the space as well, and that's how we see it. So,
No,
anyone that can help on the journey.
That's brilliant. I mean, we've been saying that all the time, that MicroStrategies is terrific, but they just hold the asset. They don't really participate. They can't, they're not running miners. And, it's kind of a static strategy to me, relying on Bitcoin's growth. But
Right.
what you're doing, I find to be more valuable. And so I think the sky's the limit, because if you start loading up on ecosystem partners and protocols and building these baskets, Solana ecosystem basket holdings, and then ETF those potentially, or make those available all through your stock, this is a whole new ball game that I think will open up eyes everywhere. So the sky's the limit, Leah. What you're doing is phenomenal. You're the perfect person to do it. You've got Tony by your side, who seems to love you and gets it. And I read your press release. Everything sounds fantastic. It's well written. If you get anything else, send it to me first, please, anytime. We're available for any advice. We're SOL junkies over here. We know everybody. If you ever want to use the space to do a presentation, maybe when you release something new, we can do a space at the office and we can keep the ball rolling. Tony, thank you for joining us. Everybody, this is Leah Wald of Sol Strategies, one and only legend right here. We know. Tova, thanks for joining us. Anybody you want to raise a hand? Ted, you've got a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick. I got to call out to Leah here. From the perspective of you being like so tied to the Bitcoin OGs, I've been following you for like 8 years, I think, maybe longer. Back to your original, like all of the moderation you've done, I can tell you approach things from the perspective of being ultimately like an educator too, like being a moderator for all these like Tone Vase and Jimmy songs, part of the blockchain wars.
Oh yeah.
But like I find it interesting and just powerful that, and just it's almost like symbolic that you were able to navigate being like tied to so many Bitcoin maximalists and OGs and still be able to have the courage to pivot into a tech maxi that is now pushing and championing Solana. So I was just interested in, like, if you want to talk from the perspective of how you were able to maintain certain relationships and have the fortitude to leave some of the idiots behind that are hating, and just all of that. That's just incredible.
Brilliant question, Ted. Yeah, Leah, do you get a lot of flack for going with Solana?
No, first of all, Ted, thank you so much. That was overly kind words. I'm gonna start trying to be more humble like Tony, but that's very kind. And yeah, you've been in the space with me for a long time. And it's been an interesting journey. And to your point, I mean, I think that Bitcoin, and this is what makes me proud about the ecosystem, and also, well, actually about Solana and Bitcoin specifically. Let's just talk about those two because both interest me and I love both. Bitcoin, I believe, has finally established itself as a store of value. I think that it has made its own name for itself in the mind space of a lot of investors and whoever is deciding to develop on Bitcoin. There's obviously layer two development, but core contributors, I think, is only still at 21. At least for the base layer, you have Lightning Network developers, et cetera. But I do think there's a differentiation that's now clear, and that's important, and that's amazing. So if it's the store of value and it's created this niche of how it's going to grow, then who takes it next? Who's the application layer? Who's the blockchain that you build on, that you grow on, that you maybe start running those applications that I was talking about that, can make meaningful impact, that, the financial rails are built on. And I think right now that it's Solana. And I think that it's really important that the world continues to understand differentiation of those different things because they're highly different. Both are valuable. And I love both. And I think probably everybody on this call does, right? So, you came from the same as me, which is, we respect the heck out of everybody that was early, that worked on Bitcoin and got it to where it is today. But now it's 2024 going into 2025. We're building different things and the world needs different things and they're seeing us in a different way, right? So that's why I like Solana. That's why I'm bullish on Solana. I want to help the ecosystem is because I think that's the blockchain that could do that. And therefore, it's still loving Bitcoin. I haven't gotten rid of that one, but I see it differently and I'm interested in building for the future. And I do think that, Solana has that opportunity. As for maintaining relationships, I still respect the heck out of all of them. I was just at the MIT Bitcoin Club Expo. I spoke at it, and all the core contribs that are still working on Bitcoin. It's very few of them, and they're just working selflessly. So I respect all of them, whether they're upset at me or not. I will respect their hard work forever. But I'm also learning about the Solana contributors and what's being built here. And I just think it's also fantastic and interesting and a different set of incentives than I saw in Bitcoin, which is more of, sound money, monetary system, store of value. How do we, create that sort of, you know, uh, permissionless value transfer that lends to financial sovereignty through a store of value asset. But with the Solana contributors and developer ecosystem I'm seeing, it's just a different future that's trying to be built from what I'm learning. I know that I'm young, I'm early, so thank you for, hopefully accepting me here and know that I'm here to stay. But yeah, I just see it different and at them as totally different assets with different futures, and both are beautiful and bright. And I'm just interested in what applications can be built on Solana, because obviously there's issues with Bitcoin base layer at the moment. So I hope that
Yeah,
made sense.
absolutely. We're super familiar. I mean, I'm pretty much buddies with the projects that are building using Solana to build layer twos for Bitcoin, and then having
Yeah.
permissionless one-to-one pegs, not bridges, so that
Yep.
there'll be Bitcoin on Solana, and they're doing the same for Doge. They're doing the same
Yep.
for
That's
all
right.
proof of work, and I think that is one of the most exciting things coming into 2025 is Solana being used to move store of value and proof of work assets at high speed, and they can benefit from DeFi. And can you imagine all the people sitting in Bitcoin that can't earn a yield for over 2 years now?
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Right.
So I
Right.
think Solana's taking the forefront in that, and that's something else. I'll hook you up with some great people. We've got a question from Kevin.
Please.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Hey, great space, and Leah, really love what you're building. I actually found a way to buy the stock yesterday. It was kind of a pain, but eventually I got there. So your one goal is first you got to get to 400 million market cap because then interactive brokers will trade you. So that's your first goal. But no, my question was is you said something that you guys were looking to acquire, and I just was wondering what types of businesses are you guys looking to acquire right now?
Yeah, and don't hate me, guys. I do actually have to run now that we're at the top of the hour. So I may turn it over to Tony. But as of right now, I know I sound like a dry CEO, but Unfortunately, as a Pubco CEO, there's only so much I can say, but as per the last press release on Friday, it's fairly basic on buying validators in order to amp up and build up our validator business, keep running validators for the ecosystem, running them in a hopefully very transparent, appropriate way. We're not trying to cut fees from everybody. We're trying to, run the network with everybody else. So as of right now, per the last press release, that's what's being discussed from an acquisition perspective. But I will turn it to Tony. Don't kill me for leaving.
Leah, thank you so much. Leah, why don't we leave it at this? Once you've got more clarity, maybe in the next few weeks, we'll do another space, or maybe next month, and we can talk updates, and we can do a regular thing. But thank you so much for your time, Leah, and well done. Congratulations. We love you here. Everybody, that's Leah Wald. Just an amazing story. So well spoken, and a true leader. Here we go. We're on our way on this lovely pump day. Leah, have a great day. Enjoy the pump. And Tony, you're welcome to hang out with us. We're going to be trading crypto all day, obviously, scalping like maniacs. Everybody else who joined, thank you very much. This is the office presenting Soul Strategies. We'll end the recording on the hour. Thank you for joining us.
Marty, everybody, thank you so much for having me. Very, very honored and excited to be here.
Absolutely.
Future's bright, Leah.
There we go.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you. I agree.
And there you have it. Adios, everyone.